The face that changed everything. The autumn afternoon cast a golden glow across downtown Chicago, painting the sidewalks in warm light that made even the bustling city feel peaceful for a moment. Marcus Thompson walked slowly from his favorite restaurant, savoring both the crisp air and the satisfaction of a successful business lunch. His company had just secured a partnership that would add millions to their annual revenue, and he felt that particular contentment that comes from seeing years of hard work finally pay off. At 62, Marcus had built his technology consulting firm from nothing into a multi-million-dollar enterprise. He employed over 300 people and had offices in 6 cities. Success had brought him comfort, respect, and the kind of financial security that allowed him to focus on what truly mattered to him, his family, his hobbies, and increasingly, his desire to give back to the community that had helped shape him. As he walked toward his car, Marcus noticed a small group of people gathered near the corner of Michigan Avenue and Oak Street. It wasn't unusual to see street performers or vendors in this part of the city, but something about the quiet intensity of the scene made him pause. Sitting on a worn blanket against the side of a building was a woman with 2 young children. The boy appeared to be about 8 years old, with dark hair and serious eyes that seemed too mature for his face. The girl was younger, perhaps 5, with curls that caught the afternoon light as she leaned against her mother's shoulder. The woman held a simple cardboard sign that read, "Please help. Single mother with 2 children. Anything appreciated. God bless." Marcus had seen many people in similar situations over the years, and he always made it a point to help when he could. But as he approached, something about the woman's profile made him slow his steps. There was something familiar about the way she held herself, something that tugged at a memory he couldn't quite place. When the woman looked up and their eyes met, Marcus felt the world shift around him. It was Sarah Chen, his first girlfriend from college, the brilliant pre-med student who had tutored him through organic chemistry. The woman who had believed in his entrepreneurial dreams when everyone else thought he was foolish for wanting to start his own company. The person who had encouraged him to take the risks that eventually led to his success. For a moment, neither of them spoke. 25 years collapsed into nothing, and they were just 2 young people again, sitting in the library at Northwestern University, planning futures that had clearly taken very different paths. "Marcus?" Sarah's voice was barely a whisper, filled with a mixture of recognition and something that looked like shame. "Sarah." He knelt down beside her, ignoring the curious stares of passers-by. "My God, what happened? How are you here?" Sarah's eyes filled with tears, but she held them, back with the same quiet strength he remembered from their college days. "It's a long story," she said softly, unconsciously pulling her children closer to her. The little girl looked up at Marcus with wide, curious eyes. "Mama, who is this man?" "This is—" Sarah paused, looking at Marcus with an expression he couldn't quite read. "This is an old friend of mine. A very good friend." Marcus looked at the children, then back at Sarah. "Would you like to get some coffee? Somewhere warm where we can talk?" Sarah hesitated. "I can't afford my treat," Marcus said gently. "Please, I'd like to understand what's brought you to this point. And I'd love to meet your children properly." An hour later, they sat in a quiet corner booth at a family restaurant nearby. The children were sharing a plate of chicken nuggets and fries, their earlier wariness replaced by the simple joy of a hot meal. Sarah cradled a cup of coffee in her hands, as if it were the most precious thing in the world. The story she told was one of dreams deferred and life's unexpected cruelties. Sarah had finished medical school and completed her residency in pediatrics, just as she had always planned. She had married a fellow doctor and had been living what seemed like a perfect life. But her husband had developed a gambling addiction that slowly consumed their savings, their home, and eventually their marriage. When she finally left him to protect herself and the children, she discovered that he had secretly taken loans against their house and accumulated debts she knew nothing about. "I've been trying to rebuild," Sarah explained quietly, glancing at her children to make sure they weren't listening too closely. "But with the credit issues from the divorce and the bankruptcy, I can't get approved for an apartment. I've been working temp jobs when I can find childcare, but it's not enough to afford a deposit and first month's rent anywhere decent." Marcus listened without judgment, his successful businessman's mind already working through solutions, while his heart ached for what his old friend had endured. "The hardest part," Sarah continued, her voice growing even softer, "is that I know how to help sick children. I spent years training to heal people, but I can't seem to figure out how to create stability for my own kids." Marcus was quiet for a long moment, watching as Sarah helped her daughter wipe ketchup from her fingers with the patient tenderness that some people are born with. He thought about the different paths their lives had taken, about the role that luck and timing played in success, about how easily their situations could have been reversed. "Sarah," he said finally, "I want to help. Not just with a meal or a few dollars, but really help. I know this might seem overwhelming, but I'd like to offer you a job." Sarah looked up sharply. "Marcus, I can't accept charity." "I won't be your pet project." "It's not charity," Marcus replied firmly. "My company has been looking for someone to head up our employee wellness program. We need someone with a medical background who understands what it's like to balance work and family, someone who can design programs that actually help people rather than just check boxes for HR. He leaned forward, his voice growing more animated as the idea took shape. "You could start immediately. The salary would be enough to get you back on your feet, and we offer excellent benefits including childcare assistance and flexible scheduling." Sarah stared at him. "You're offering me a job based on a college relationship from 25 years ago? I'm offering you a job based on the person I knew you were then, and the strength and grace I see in you now," Marcus corrected. "Anyone who can keep their dignity and their children's well-being as their top priority while facing this kind of hardship is exactly the kind of person I want working for me." 3 months later, Sarah stood in her new apartment, watching through the window as her children played in the small courtyard below. The apartment wasn't fancy, but it was theirs. It was clean and safe and filled with the kind of peace that comes from security. Her job at Marcus's company had turned out to be everything he had promised and more. She found deep satisfaction in developing programs that helped employees balance their work and personal lives, drawing on her own experiences to create policies that actually made a difference. But the most surprising development had been the renewal of her friendship with Marcus. Their coffee meetings to discuss work projects had gradually expanded to include weekend barbecues where their children could play together, quiet conversations about the paths their lives had taken, and a growing appreciation for the people they had both become. One evening, as Sarah was tucking her daughter into bed, the little girl looked up at her with sleepy eyes. "Mama, are we safe now?" Sarah smiled, smoothing her daughter's curls. "Yes, sweetheart, we're safe now." "Because of Mr. Marcus?" Sarah considered the question. "Mr. Marcus helped us, but we're safe because we never gave up on each other. We stayed together, we kept trying, and when the right opportunity came along, we were ready for it." After the children were asleep, Sarah sat on her small balcony with a cup of tea, thinking about the strange twists that life can take. 6 months ago, she had been sitting on a sidewalk, feeling like she had lost everything that mattered. Now she had work that fulfilled her, a home that sheltered her children, and the knowledge that kindness still existed in the world. Marcus had taught her something important, that success isn't just about accumulating wealth or achieving personal goals. True success is about recognizing when you have the power to change someone's life and having the courage and compassion to act on that recognition. And perhaps most importantly, she had learned that asking for help isn't a sign of failure. It's a sign of hope. It's a belief that tomorrow can be better than today, and that sometimes the face of an old friend can appear just when you need it most, reminding you that your story isn't over yet.